All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Leslie Bailey. I'm the Director of Community Experience here with EIC. I've also got Mariella Bazan on with me to answer some questions today about our CMP certification, focusing on the beta exam. So you'll see members of our team throughout. They will be on the chat and the QA to address any questions that you have. So if you have any, please put them in the QA. We will address them throughout the session and at the end as well. So just a few tech announcements to make sure everybody's experience is smooth. You can select closed captioning if you need that. It's at the bottom of your screen, and you can enable in the captions and select the language you would like to see them in as well. Please post any questions you have in the QA. We will address them throughout the session and at the end. And then you can start peer-to-peer conversations or conversations with us as well via the chat. We will be checking that and answering questions through that. And then today's session is being recorded and will be available for later viewing in case you miss any part of it, have to leave early, or you have any colleagues you'd like to share this with. So before we get kicked off, I do want to hand it over to my colleague, Steve Dobbins, for some media announcements, and then we'll get started.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Leslie. And just on behalf of EIC, I wanted to say thank you to everyone for attending today's office hours. We are super excited about all of the energy that's going into the CMP beta exam that's coming up, as well as the international standards being released. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And also, as Chief Marketing Officer, I want to any media that is here, please feel free to email me. I put my email in the chat for any media inquiries. I'm happy to set up a time for you as well. Today is really all about our current CMPs and future CMPs and all the questions that they have. So I'll turn it back to you, Leslie. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. All right, everybody, I'm going to share my slides with you one more time, just so you have a visual as we're talking through this, so you can really get an idea of all the topics we're covering today, excuse me, so you can see everything. So I'm going to shut down some of my screens, a little bit too many open here. But our overview and areas of focus today are going to be about the CMP certification and the community as well. So if any of you haven't joined the CMP community yet, it's over 13,000 people. It's a great community of professionals that have obtained that CMP and continue to renew it throughout their career. We're going to talk through the updated domains and standards for the new exam. And then we're also going to talk about the CMP beta exam and the recommended study materials. I know everybody has a lot of questions about what those include, so we are going to talk through those. So let me see if I can get my screen up and running for everybody, and we will get started. So just a little overview about the CMP community and the certification. So I don't know how many of you are active CMPs or if you've already started your CMP journey, but the Certified Meeting Professional Program was launched in 1985. So it's been around for more than 30 years. And the credential is recognized globally as the badge of excellence in the events industry. The qualifications for certification are based on professional experience, education, and a rigorous exam that we are going to talk about in just a couple of minutes. The benefits of the CMP certification. So if any of you are looking for some advice on why you should get the certification, why you should keep it throughout your entire professional career, according to a recent industry study conducted by PCMA, meeting planners who hold the CMP earn on average about $10,000 more annually than their non-certified counterparts. So it is really important when it comes into salary conversations, and also just seeing the kind of professional experience that you hold, the education that you find important for your professional development when looking for advancing your career. The CMP certification is also a mark of excellence in comprehensive events management, and it opens the door to better and more opportunities. So in case you didn't know what the benefits were before, you do now. And also going out and talking to the other people in the CMP community will also show you what those benefits are. It also increases professionalism. Global economic significance studies shows this as well. That's something we've been working on for a couple of years. The quarterly events barometer, futures landscape study, all of those things are things that we develop with the CMPs in the community. So that very much helps out with the professionalism for your CMP. All right, and I should be in slide mode now, I hope. Okay, so what we want to talk about today is the beta exam and the updated standards. That has been on top of mind for everybody. We recently, about a few weeks ago, put out the new standards with a press release. and with this blueprint that shows the domains side by side. So I'm going to hand this over to Mariella just to talk about some of the updated domains and the standards and the differences you may see.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So I'm really excited about the changes that were made to the CMP international standards, and I want to take a little bit of a step back before we go into what the changes are, just to talk about the process. I know that that was one of the questions that was asked of us earlier about how did we get to the changes? What was the rationale? And yeah, the CMP competency profile project is something that we started before COVID. And at that time, we decided, you know what, we could see how much things were changing for our sector. So we took a lot of time to be reflective and to really think about what are the changes that have come through. It's gone through quite an extensive process of consultation with our CMP community. And that included steps like having regional focus groups, making sure that we had lots of opportunities for people to provide feedback. There was a global survey that was done. And we also did a bias review as well as part of the work that we've done. So really, you know, it was quite extensive, the process that went into doing that. And just to touch back on, you know, Leslie referenced the economic significance study. When I think about the role of these international standards, it's really to support everything that's talked about in that economic significance study. It's about making sure that we are prepared, that we have the skills and the knowledge to really be able to drive all the objectives that we have, not only for our own organizations, but for the economy that depends on us being successful at what we do. So the major changes that happened to the standards is to the addition of 3 new domains. One is on sustainability and social impact. Now, previously, we did talk about sustainability and social impact as part of the strategic planning domain, but now it's been elevated to be its very own domain, and we have resources that will support that. We also added one in, as you can imagine, on technology integration, and this is, another great way for us to bring in some of the work that has been done by our volunteer community, our subject matter experts, like our Apex Commission, that worked on developing a resource around hybrid and digital events. So that's part of what's included in the technology integration. And we also all know just the importance of proper evaluation. So that third new domain is on evaluation processes. So those are the major changes. You can see as well on this screen that the percentage of weighting that's given to each of those has been slightly reallocated. So you can see, risk management has gone up a little bit. Event design, it appears to have gone down, but also keep in mind that we have those 2 new domains. So some of the content that was in there has been pulled to form these new domains. And so if anyone has any questions around that, feel free to add them into the chat. Won't spend too much more time on it, but other than to say, a huge thank you to all of the volunteers, all of the CMP community that really took time out to be very thoughtful in thinking about what is it that we need to be able to demonstrate to really effectively be able to do our jobs as well as can be. So thank you to everyone. And I think I'll pass it back to Leslie.
Okay. Thanks, Mariella. I hope that clears up a little bit of confusion. I know everybody was very curious about what the new domains would look like and what is being updated. So if there's any more questions, we'll address those at the end when we open up for open Q&A, but that is a great blueprint. Thank you also to our Dobbins team for putting that together to put on our website. All right, so let's talk about the CMP beta exam and the recommended study materials. I know that has been top of mind for a lot of people. I've already got a lot of questions about it, and it's really exciting for us to see the excitement around wanting to take the beta and wanting to see what that new exam is all about. So the beta exam, like Mariella just said, is the updated exam based on the 2025 international standards. If you'd like to see that blueprint again, it is on our website with details around the standards as well. And participants in the beta help determine what accounts for passing score on the updated exam. So for anybody who's considering the beta, I hope that would be all of you, you are going to be part of an esteemed group that really helps us to finalize that new exam and that new score. So we really appreciate anybody who's going to participate as well. I will probably be one of you. So I will be in that group in the trenches with you. So let's just talk about some of the benefits of the beta exam, because I know there's been information out there. We've had questions come in. So we just want to be really clear about what those are. So the main benefit, especially for yourselves and your professional development, is you're going to be part of a group helping to shape the future of our industry and setting that bar for those aspiring CMPs that are looking to get their CMP and join that community. You'll also receive discounted fees and complimentary access to the EIC manual, the 9th edition, which is the current, and the Sustainable Event Professional Certificate Program, which is our Sustainable Events Program Certificate. It's a very good course. It's really going to help you when it comes to that trend and those sustainability practices that we're all looking to incorporate now and in the future. So let's break down the fees just a little bit. So your application fee of $350 stays the same. So to sit for the beta exam, you will need to submit your CMP application and be approved in order to be accepted, approved to take that beta exam. Once you are, the exam fee is typically $525, but for people participating in the beta, we're offering it at $100. So it's a $425 discounted rate for beta participants. And then the Sustainable Event Professional Certificate course is typically $495, but you are getting that complimentary if you're a beta participant, because some of that material is included in those updated domains. So your total cost is $450, which is a massive discount. And we realize what you're taking on in kind of the shorter runway to study and also taking that beta. So we really want to get that value to you for being a beta participant. And don't worry, I will address more questions about the beta once we get through our slides and this information for you. So the recommended study materials, these are out in the FAQs as well. If you haven't taken a look at the FAQs for the beta exam, I really encourage you to do that because they are very robust. They answer pretty much any question you could have. Also, if you email us at our info@eventscouncil.org, we are happy to answer your questions as well and provide more detail. So some of you probably already have, so you recognize our names, and we're happy to keep taking those questions. So the study materials you want to look at for the beta and the updated exam. So your CMP international standards, those are still existing. You want to take a look at those new ones as well. Your Events Industry Council manual, the 9th edition, which is the current, is still going to be, let's say, your quote unquote Bible for studying this. It still has all of that information in it. It is still all relevant. And we're going to give you that supplementary material for the new updated standards as well. So the Events Industry Council glossary, most of you probably already have that. If not, that is on our website. That's something you really want to study as well. We are providing the EIC Event Risk Management Guidebook. That will be a digital link that we include, and your EIC Digital and Hybrid Events Guidebook. That is also available on our site. However, it is something we will give you once we send up those follow-up communications about scheduling your beta. And the SCPC and Foundations Guidebook, that comes with the SCPC course, and we'll also link to it as well, just so you've got all these study materials in one place and it's easy to find all of them. All right, and just some key dates. I know these are out there as well. I know I keep saying everything's on the website, but I'm going to reiterate it for you. Some key dates that you want to look at. So right now through March 31st, the current CMP exam is being made available. So it'll be available till March 31st. April 1st through May 31st is going to be when the beta exam testing period is happening. So any of you taking the beta, you'll schedule between April 1st and May 31st, and only the beta exam will be available to take. From June 1st to August 3rd, the exam scheduling will be in a blackout period. So no exams will be able to be scheduled because that is when our different standard setting workshop. Participants are going to go in, take a look at those scores, do the setting of the score, and then on August 3rd, we will launch the updated CMP exam, and that's when scheduling will resume. So I just wanted to point out those key dates to everybody. I know there's been some questions about dates, and all of that is on our website and in the FAQ as well. However, I wanted to reiterate it here so you can kind of just see those dates in line of what's going to happen next and what the upcoming steps are. Okay, and now, of course, for the main event, I want to open it up for QA. I know everybody's got a lot of questions. Some of you did submit them when registering, so we do want to go through those. So I'm going to pull up what I had for the questions that came in, and then I do have another team member, Caitlin, who is in the QA looking at the questions coming in, and we'll address what we can. Anything we don't address, we will follow up, or if it's something that it has a little bit more detail that's included, we will follow up with an email just so we can get you any helpful links or any web pages that might be helpful. So one question, and Marielle, this might be for you, is around the practicality and the relevance of the new exam versus the old. And to elaborate a little bit, they also wanted to know about format and length, if that would still say the same or if there's any changes there.
Format and length has stayed the same. So that's the easy one to answer. But in terms of the relevance of taking one or the other, I think that in some ways there's a bit of a personal choice that's associated with that. I would say that if you have been studying already for quite some time based on the old materials and you feel prepared to write it before the 31st, I think that's something to consider. I hope that many of you will consider doing the beta test. It's great value for you, but it's also really important for us to have this opportunity to have people go through the beta exam. So there's a part of it that's being part of the conclusion of this journey that we've been on. So I hope that that's going to be a good fit for a lot of people, but it really is a very personal decision as to what you feel best prepared to do, and how you're going to feel the most confident going into that. I'm not sure if that answers someone's question, but if you have a follow-up to that, please add some more to the Q&A.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Mariella, I will turn this question over to you as well, is what are some recommendations you have for how current CMPs can support and learn the new standards?
Absolutely. So it starts with, accessing the international standards. Many of you are involved in volunteer activities. So if you are part of like a VP of education for one of our chapters, member organization chapters, think about adding in new education around those elements, helping to make sure that people are brought up to speed with that. If you're on the maybe you're a speaker or you have expertise in those areas, make yourself available to share that knowledge with the community. We really want to be able to share as much great information. This is Leslie, you talked about this being a community of 13,000, and it really is. And being part of a community is also part sharing your knowledge, sharing your experiences and expertise. So bringing that to the table if you're an existing CMP, and also look for opportunities to get more involved. We'll have opening up applications to be part of our CMP Governance Commission probably in September, October frame. That's a Leslie question for sure. But there's always ways to get involved, and definitely. Oh, and Steve will be on me if I don't say promote it, talk about it, share the value of why you became a CMP, how it's been of a benefit to you. If you have colleagues that are thinking about it, encourage them to do that. And yeah, I think that those would be the things off the top of my head. But I think that it's a really good community question as well. So if other people have some ideas of how current CMPs can apply, or if you're a future CMP, how would you like to receive help from existing ones? Please share your ideas in the chat as well.
Thank you. Those are all great suggestions, Mariella. Thank you. And yes, you are correct. CMP Commission nominations will open in October. So if anybody is a current CMP and you're really looking to get involved with how the CMP advances and improves in the future for the community, look out for that in October. Is the current ninth edition of the EIC manual missing any information for the new test? What do you do if you've already purchased? So yes, and yes, it is. However, we are providing you with that supplementary material to cover those new domains. So those will be supplied to you when you're taking the beta. And then if you've already purchased it, that's okay. That's literally kind of your framework of what you need to study. So if you've already purchased, that's completely fine. Start to look at that. And then once we send you those additional materials, you can include that into your study and your prep time. So good question.
And there was a question as well about that was in the chat regarding the risk management chapter and the risk management guidebook. The guidebook is an update to the chapter, so I would go with more recent material. But if you've already looked at the old one, don't worry. That's a good place to start. You'll just be reinforced by looking at the new version.
Okay, great. And when will prep materials be ready for the new test? So prep materials are ready now. We're going to start sending those out next week. What we would like to do in this process is have you schedule your exam, and then we will send you the study materials. It's a little bit of an easier process for us. It also helps us to see who is signed up and who needs immediate access to those study materials. So that's a great question. Starting next week, you will start to receive those. Also, I know this wasn't a question listed on mine, but I will tell everybody, we are looking at today or tomorrow. I won't promise what day it is. We are putting in that new registration path for all of you to schedule that beta exam at that discounted price. So you will be able to go in and schedule yourselves. Prometric is also available for that help, and so are we, but it should be a very easy step to get your exam scheduled. All right.
And so just to confirm, Prometric is our testing partner. So while we look after aspects of things, they're the ones that actually have the testing centers and set up the platform where you can do your online test if you prefer to do remote testing.
Thank you. All right. Mariella, this might be a question for you, and it's kind of just a reiteration of studying materials. It says, you mentioned that the SCPC manual is a supplement for the beta for sustainability. Does that mean you need to take the course as well, or just read the manual?
Okay, so I will be fully transparent and say that I don't have access to the test information. As part of the education side, there's a really important firewall that we maintain where I have I have what's available to the public in terms of knowledge on that. So everything that we're referring to are recommended resources. So keep that in mind. The tests are never verbatim questions. You will be wanting to familiarize yourself with the workbook. I think that given that you'll have access to the SEPC course at no charge, I think that it's definitely worth it. It'll help you to understand the workbook a little bit better if you go through the course, and that way it sort of aligns. So they are intended to go hand in hand. If you are, more pressed for time, focus in on the workbook. But really, we want to make sure that you feel confident in these subjects. So it'll also depend on how much background you have already. If sustainability is brand new to you, I would probably do both. If it's something that you live and breathe every day, maybe it's more focused on the workbook. But really, it's about making sure that you prepare in a way that complements your existing expertise and experiences.
Great. Thank you, Mariella. And it's a great course. If you do have the access to it, I would highly recommend taking it as well. I myself am going through it right now, so I do recommend that everybody take that if you do have the time and the opportunity. So thanks, Mariella. One question I wanted to circle back to, actually, that our team member Caitlin brought up to me is, I know a lot of you have filled out the interest form for the beta. So I just want to take a step back and confirm that you do not have to be accepted into taking the beta. If you have applied for the CMP exam and you are approved, you can schedule your beta exam. We use that interest form just so we could see how many people are really interested, who has already been approved, and help those who have not been approved to take the next steps in order to be considered for that beta. So you don't have to be, let's say, accepted, you just have to have an approval application. For those of you that did fill it out, I will continue to follow up with you just so you know what the next steps are and to get you in line to take that beta. So Caitlin, thank you for reminding me to address that. All right. Next question we have is, if you've taken the test but not passed, do you have to apply again? Yes. So if you do not pass on your first attempt, you do have to apply to sit for the exam again. We can walk you through those steps if you'd like to email us as well and give you some recommendations on how to prep for that second attempt. Okay, I'm just scrolling through here. Let's see. Oh, go ahead, Marielle. Did you have something to say?
I do see that there is a question in here about, if you don't pass the beta, are you able to retake it again at the discounted price? So one of the important differences around the beta test and the regular test is that we won't have the scoring information available immediately. So with the beta test, your results will be available, I think, in late July.
Mhm.
And then at that point, you'll know if you passed or if you need to retake the exam. By that point, the beta exam will not be available anymore. So you would be looking at taking the new exam.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then I have a question here about, I was originally going to take the exam in June, and then this information was released. I know I'm planning to take it at the end of April. If not passed in April, I read you were offering retakes within 90 days, but that 90-day period falls within the blackout. Would the 90 days be extended? So yes, thank you for that question. We are giving people extensions to November to retake that exam in case you wouldn't pass on your first attempt. So we will very much work with you on, if your window is expiring during that blackout period, we will work with you to get that extension. So that's a great question. And yes, we really want everybody to succeed with this and very feel confident in studying for this. So if that does happen to you, that is something we can help with. It's a good question. All right, I'm just scrolling through. Mary Alice, might be something you can answer. If not, we can follow up with this user as well. For the new domain K, the digital and hybrid events workbook is helpful, but doesn't seem to address newer tech, AI or VR. Is there another supplement that would help with that before the new book comes out?
Not yet. So that is something that will be integrated into the new manual, which we're hoping to have released before the end of 2025.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna go between the QA and the chat. I see a lot of activity happening, which is great. I had a question in the chat. I had already scheduled my test prior to the beta test being announced. Are there any additional steps I need to take? So great question. Thank you, Jennifer, for that. If you had already scheduled, you should have received a communication from Prometric about how to reschedule your exam. If you haven't, we can definitely take your name and have their candidate care team reach out to you if you would like to schedule that beta. So that is something we can follow up with you on. But yes, for anybody who had previously scheduled and it falls during that beta test period, you should have received a communication about what your options are about rescheduling and which exam to take. So that's a great question. All right, I'm gonna scroll up. All right. Okay, perfect. Jennifer, I'll follow up with you offline. All right, just looking through here. We have some questions about books that we answered. Great. And then answer. It's about an app. It says, I'm currently studying for the CMP exam and using the Pocket Prep for EIC CMP app to help study. Will that app be updated with questions related to the new domain?
And that's not an EIC product, and it's not endorsed by EIC. And I don't know how to answer that. The recommended resources for studying are the manual, the guides that are on the list, and the glossary.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. I hope that's helpful to whoever answered that question. In the chat, I see our scores from the current exam instantly available. On the beta, why does it take so long to learn if you have passed the exam? So yes, on the current exam, they are instantly available if you pass or fail. It takes longer on the beta because we have to look at the scoring and what everyone is getting and set that score for the new exam. So, Marielle, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Sure. I mean, if you, in some ways, if you think about the beta test, it's there's an element to it which is also testing the test. So there's a performance of how the test is working that we need to assess. And that's why it'll take a little bit longer for us to be able to do that. We need to have sufficient tests completed before we can begin to assess the test's performance. And that's why there's going to be that delay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then I have a question from Deanna. Thank you, Deanna, that says, I'm new to all of this, currently just exploring the process. What is a typical study time frame? And is there any chance to start now and be able to take the beta? So Mariella, do you want to give some recommendations on what you see typically with study times from some of our CMP,
Yeah.
active CMPs?
It really varies, and I don't want to say that I always go back to being a very personal, personal thing, but it to a degree it really is. It'll depend on your experience, the variety of experience that you've had as well. Many of the EIC member organizations offer study groups, and that might be something for you to consider. So looking at when they have those dates available. So those would be some things to keep in mind. And people have different learning styles and different needs for how they prepare for an exam. So it's very hard to say. Now, is it impossible to say no, I think that it's worth giving it a try for sure, especially since it's such great value. But definitely take the time to make sure that you feel confident. One thing that we haven't mentioned yet is also that there are accommodations available for people who are taking the test. So if you have, for example, English as an additional language, or if you are a person with a disability, you can also request accommodations to help you feel more prepared and have it be, really better suited to your needs as well. So please remember to reach out if you would like to have those provided for you. It's something that's offered, and we want to make sure that people are aware of that and take advantage of that opportunity.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. One other question we had was, do you recommend CMPers looking to renew take the beta exam? I'm going to say no, because you don't have to retake the exam as long as you're renewing within your cycle. And it wouldn't be, and Marielle can disagree with me if you want, it wouldn't be very beneficial to you. I'm not sure what the benefits would be of an active CMP taking the beta exam.
I actually don't think it's technically possible right now because of you have to be a candidate. You have to apply to be a candidate. So if you are an active CMP, when you go into our platform, you won't be given that option to sit for the exam. You'll be given your option to recertify. So the exception would be as if your certification has expired. Then, in order to recertify, then you would go through. You could sit for the beta exam.
Okay, perfect. If you have an accepted application and scheduled your beta exam, when do you receive the study materials? So as we said earlier, those are going to start to go out next week. We are going to work with Prometric to see who has scheduled in order to get those materials out to you. And Mary Alice, might be a question for you. It says, can you remind me of the format of the exam? Is it multiple choice?
Yes. So there are practice exams available that you can sign up to do. What I would say is that the practice exams are not, to me, the big value of that is helping you prepare for the experience of doing it. So helping you show the types of formats, making sure that you're familiar with how to go online and do a test. There will be some additional aspects to, when you actually sign in on exam day in order to have your cameras checked and things like that, and your space checked. But it'll give you more confidence in how to use the platform. It will have a limited number of questions, but it will give you a very good sense as to the style in which that they're written. And they are not existing exam items, so you won't see those from what I understand, but again, remember, we've got that firewall. So what I've been told is that they're not the same questions. But yeah.
Okay, perfect. So along those same lines, what information you can give us? This is a question about risk questions. So are all of the risk questions coming just from the EIC Risk Management Handbook? If not, which other products will the risk questions pull from? If
So
you have any insight into
yeah.
that.
So again, these are all recommended resources, right? So that's what is referenced when items are built, but they're not verbatim, and they're going to be the types of questions where you have to rely not only on the materials but on your own experience, on your own knowledge. Um, you know, when we look at the certification, it's remember that it's not, this is not testing you on did you memorize the books. It's assessing your qualifications, which also includes, looking at the journey that you've come to. So did you have the, necessary number of years of experience and number of months of experience in the sector, and the education, the continuing education hours needed. So there's a lot more to it than simply, reading the books, but definitely read the books. But also, remember that there's a lot to be said for the years of experience that you have, and take confidence in that. Look at the CMP international standards. That's always, where I start from, and go through that, and ask yourself, is this something that I do on a daily basis? If it is, maybe focus a little bit less time on those sections. As you read through the materials, also look and sort of take a step back to ask yourself, is this the way that I do things? Or and make notes of the things that seem different to the way that that you do things. And it doesn't mean that the way you do things are wrong. It's just different than what's in the manual. Writing these chapters is an exercise in consensus. And one of the examples that I sometimes use is very not directly related to the industry at all, but it has to do with, where do you keep your kitchen utensils? There's some people who are really strong believers in it belongs, in a container on the counter, and other people it all belongs in the drawer. There's no right or wrong answer. There's some differences in that, but it is, it is based on your experiences. It's based on looking at that. So when you read things, make notes of things that surprise you, go back and reflect on those, and keep those in mind as you're answering questions.
Perfect. Thank you. And some great advice there. I had a question about, sorry if I missed this, but if you are accepted, are you provided all study materials or just the supplemental? You're provided all study materials. So once your application is approved and you schedule that exam, you are then given those study materials. So
and just to confirm, that's with the beta test. If you're not doing the beta test, you do need to purchase the manuals separately, or the manual separately and the glossary separately. The other materials, or the SCPC, yeah, you'd have to purchase a few different things. So.
Perfect. Thanks. And Marielle, this might be something we can shed some light on. In what ways would you suggest that advocates of CMS familiarize themselves with the new standards and promote them effectively?
And I think CMP, but
they might be a type.
So if you are advocates of the CMP program and you want to promote the questions, sorry, can you read the question again? I lost my train of thought there. So
sure. It was let me go back and find it real quick. Gosh, there's so many. Everybody's so excited about this. It was about how can current CMPs and advocate of CMP familiarize themselves with the new standards and promote them effectively.
Yeah. So first stop is our website. Right on the homepage, you'll see a link that talks about the CMP international standards being released. So you can find them super easily, and familiarize yourself with them. Talk about that. And, if you are if you're an existing CMP, talk about the value that it's brought to you, share about these things. If you're at networking events, make sure to include CMP on your name badge, and it's a great conversation starter. So it's, I always like that. If you're attending a conference, oftentimes you can get the CMP ribbons to add to your name badge. And if not, just make sure that it's on there so you can use that as a conversation starter. Offer, if you are attending an event like one of the chapter events, to say a few words about it. If you need some help with things to talk about, reach out to us. We'd be happy to help give you some thought starters on things that you can share. I know that we have some education that's coming up for some of our member chapter volunteer leaders. So there's going to be some more information if that's the category that you're falling into in terms of advocates. But we always are so grateful to all of our champions for sharing the information about this. And the fact that there's so many people that are willing to ask this question and willing to share, I think it gives us all a lot of pride, and makes us just so happy to know that it's something that's so meaningful to the existing CMPs that you want to be reaching out and sharing about your experiences. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And thank you, Mariella, for those recommendations. I know some of you have actually all reached out already to tell us that you have been promoting it and very much mentoring some people through kind of their concerns or their questions about the beta exam. So we really do appreciate all of our CMP advocates for helping us to spread the word and really boost everybody's confidence in this. That is the one thing we want you to walk away with today, is your confidence in taking this beta exam, and that we are here to support you through each step of it and really support overall your CMP journey. So we've got questions for I think we have time for about 2 more. So I'm going to try to pick out some that we maybe didn't cover. How do we find community or study groups? That's a great question. Mariella, do you have recommendations on kind of where to look or any sites to look at to look up community or study groups?
Yeah, the 2 of our member organizations often offer them. So PCMA and MPI are the 2 that are most likely to have them. So if you're in a city that has one of those, then I would start maybe with them. And if not, then reach out to us and we'll see what we can do to help you find something.
Okay, perfect. All right, I'm just looking through the questions. I'm going to pick one last good one if I can find it. Maybe a frequently asked question that everybody's been asking for the last couple of weeks. I know we talked about scores, we talked about study materials. So again, we can always reiterate those to you, or if you have a follow-up question, please email us and we will definitely get you those study materials and kind of help you take a look at those as well, if there's anything that's confusing about that. We talked about taking the beta exam at the discounted price again, just in case you wouldn't pass the first time. And again, all of this is in that FAQ. I believe one of my team members might have put the FAQ link into the chat. So that's a good one to hang on to, just in case you do have any questions that you want to go back to and review. There is one more question about the practice test and if they've been updated to reflect the updated material. I don't believe they have.
No.
So what you really want to look at is those materials that we're going to give you. Those are going to be pretty much the meat and potatoes, as some people say, of what you want to study and prep for. And Mariella, did you have anything to add to that?
Remember that the value in them is helping you to familiarize yourself with the process of doing the test. So that's really where you're going to draw that strength and that confidence. So I would definitely recommend still doing those practice tests to have that benefit. So that's one less thing that could potentially be new. You want to know the format, or at least I like to know what to expect, and that really helps to alleviate or address that opportunity to know what's happening, and also just I know that sometimes exams can be a little scary for people, but we're here to help you. Your community of CMPs is here to help you. We all want you to be successful in what you're doing. It's the reason why so many CMPs have taken the time to complete these surveys to help make this a really strong new international standard. it's for you. That's why that's why we're doing this. That's why they've all donated their time and their expertise. And, a special thank you to our CMP Governance Commission that have done so much work over several years. The global representation that we had, and all of this is really to help you. And we hope you know just how much your commitment to your professionalism is appreciated, and how much we want to see you be successful. So if there's things that we can do to make things clearer for you, if you have questions, reach out. I'm going to put a link in the chat right now for anyone who, maybe just wants to have like a one-on-one conversation. You can just book a 15-minute consultation with me, and we can just talk one-on-one about how we can help you feel a little bit more confident and prepared. And yeah, I'll pass back to Leslie.
Okay, I think that's the perfect note to end on. Like we've said, we are here to support all of you on your CMP journey, whatever step you are on of that. Most importantly, if you've got any questions about the beta, don't hesitate to reach out. You probably will be receiving some communications from me over the next couple of days. If you did fill out that interest form, just to give you some extra comfort, support on those next steps that you need to take to make sure that you're getting scheduled. So we appreciate everybody joining today. Thank you, Mariella, for all of the good recommendations and insights into the updated domains, the exam itself, and how to prep. We will record this and place this on for later viewing if anybody wants to go back to any of it. And again, I always want to reiterate to go to our site, find those FAQs about that beta exam, because they are going to be extremely helpful. And as always, you can email us at info@eventscouncil.org, and we will be happy to address any of your questions. So thank you, everybody. I hope everybody has a great rest of the day, night, wherever you are, and we will see you soon.